Good day, everyone, and here we are again for a new session in Math in the Class. For this session, we are going to touch on list common denominator, or that is being abbreviated as LCD, commonly known as LCD. So let's start with the given definition of LCD. So an LCD would be the least common multiples of the denominators in a set of fractions. Where can we use the least common denominator? It simplifies adding, subtracting, and comparing fractions, especially if we are going to do those operations with dissimilar denominators. So in what ways can we find the LCD? So there are actually 4 ways. One is we can use the listing method. 2 is the factor tree. We can use the prime factorization for that one. Third, we can use the inverse or upside down division. And fourth is the Venn diagram. Venn diagram can also be used in math. You've heard it right. Let's begin. So what if we have there 1/8 and we are going to add 2/4 for that one? So how are we going to make use of our listing method in order for us to find our least common denominator? So what I would do first is I'm going to write all my denominators. So in our first given fraction, my denominator would be 8. And on my second fraction, I have there fourths. So I'm going to write 8 and then 4 there. So I am going to list all the multiples of 8 and 4. So when we say multiples, that means a number being multiplied to an integer. So in this case, we are going to multiply 8 and 4 into numbers 1, 2, and 3. And that would give out our multiples of 8 and 4. So let's start with 8. If I multiply 8 to 1, it will give me 8. And then if I multiply 8 to 2, that would give me 16. 8 multiplied to 3, that would give me 24. Now, I need to find the multiples of 4. So let us do the same thing. Let's multiply 4 to 1. So that would give us 4. Multiply now 4 to 2. That would give us 8. And finally, multiply 4 to 3. That would give us 12. So we have now the least of multiples for 8 and 4. Now look at the least common multiple that you have there. And you're right, the least common multiple would be 8. Using the same numbers, our denominators, we'll use factor tree to be able to find out the LCD. So for 8, write 2 lines underneath the number. Okay, so these 2 lines would represent the factors. And preferably it would be nice if we are going to still use the prime factorization for this one with the use of a factor tree. So for 8, we have 2 and 4. We have 2 there as one prime number. So we have now 4. We need to find the factors of 4. Numbers that when we multiply, the result would be 4. And you're right, that should be 2 and 2. So for the factors of 8, we have now 2, 2, and 2. There would be like 3 of 2's. How about 4? So 4 has only 2 factors. You have there 2 and 2 for this matter here. So I want you to go ahead and write the factors of 8 and then 4. And I want you to align the numbers as you write at the second part there. Underneath the 8, you would write there the factors of 4. So you have there 2 and 2. And as you do so, align these 2's. And then, since we have 2 common numbers already for 8 and 4, that would be taken as 1. So we have 2's. There, we have 2 pairs of 2's. So for the factors, 2 of 2's will be taken out. And then there's no pair for the third 2, but still we are going to use that. So we have now 3 2's. So multiply these and that would be your least common denominator. So multiply 2 times 2, that would give us 4, times 2, that would give us 8. So let us now use the inverse division or upside down division. We will be looking into a number that can divide both 8 and 4. And yes, you are right. Okay, we can use 2 for this one. So you would also notice that we have the flipped sign for division here. So underneath that flipped sign, you are going to write the quotient when you divide 8 by 2 and 4 divided by 2. So 8 divided by 2, that would give us 4. And 4 divided by 2, that would give us 2. Okay? So underneath the numbers, you have there underneath 8 and 4, you have 4 and 2. Look now for a number that can divide also 4 and 2. Both of them can be divided by that number. And look there, we know that 4 and 2 is divisible by 2. So 4, let's divide now 4 by 2, that would give us 2. So underneath the 4, write 2. And then 2 divided by 2, of course, that would give us 1. Okay, so right now, outside or opposite to those numbers inside our flipped division symbol, those are now our factors. So we need to find out for 2 and 1. So look for a number that can divide or can be used as a factor for this one. Actually, we could stop there because the other one has already like 1 and then 2. But for this sake, we can still divide 2 by 2, right? So we'll go ahead and divide that one. 2 divided by 2, that would give us 1. And you know that 1 divided by 2 cannot be, so I'll just simply write there 1. That means it cannot be divided. So all those numbers that we have outside or opposite side of our numbers that are in our flipped division symbol, this would be now our factors. So what's 2 times 2 times 2? It's still 8. This time we're going to use our Venn diagram in order for us to find our least common denominator. So how are we going to do that? So first, I'm going to think of, a number that would be common to both of the denominators, so 8 and 4. That would be where my circles would intersect. So I know for a fact that 8 would have 2 and 4 as its factors. And I know 4 could either have 2 and 2 and 4 and 1 as its factors. So I know both would have 4 as its common number. So that's a number that they could intersect. Okay? So what I would do first is I would create a circle that would represent my factors for 8. So I could write there 2 and then 4. For 4, I would create another circle. Inside it would be my factors. That would be 4 and 1. And I know 4 should be in between because this would be a common number. I have there now 2, 4, and 1 as my factors in my Venn diagram. So all I have to do now is to multiply these 3. That would be 2 times 4 and 1. That would still give me 8 as my least common denominator. So there you go, guys. You were able to use 4 ways in order for you to find the least common denominator. And if we master this skill, adding, subtracting, fractions with the similar or unlike denominators would be easy as pie for us. Thank you so much for taking your time and watching this video. If you like this video, do not forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much.